There we go. My mic was muted. Let in one more time from the top. Good morning. I'm here still in Acapulco, Mexico, and y'all look at my view this morning. I changed locations from the other house, or the villa is what they call them down here in Mexico. But I'm feeling great. I have my cup of coffee, so join me this morning. So I'm here every single Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, covering different topics. And really, I never have an agenda of what topic I want to cover. It's just kind of what I'm feeling that week, questions that people are asking me. And that is really what leads me into conversations to bring to the live stream. And reminder, y'all, this is a podcast as well. So if you are not joining us live, go to Money Mornings with Hannah, anywhere where you stream your podcast episodes, and also even on YouTube as well. So you can go to my personal channel, Hannah Kessler, Hannah spelled the same ways forwards and backwards, Kessler with one S, and you can see the YouTube upload recordings of it there. So today I have a fun and exciting topic. Now, before I get into it, just yesterday, I don't know what is going on, but my lymph nodes, like within my throat, I've just been they've been hurting, so I just kind of have like a little bit of a sore throat. So after we go live, I'm going to have a little bit of a breakfast. I call it my brekkie. And then I'm going to head down to the ocean and literally gargle the salt water. Mother Nature's natural salt water to gargle with. So that's on my agenda today. And then I have some things I'm working on with my coach and my mentor. We are doing more television pitches. So I'm going to go on another show. Not on another show, on another road tour, if you will. I've up to this point, I've done 13 TV appearances, so hopefully to stack more of that up. And if you want to see me on those stations, go to hannahkessler.com. Let me put it up here at the bottom of the screen. hannahkessler.com. You can go and watch a lot of my media appearances on there. And hey, if you are a producer for your local television station or even national TV station, I'm your girl. You want to talk about money, how to bring it to a mainstream topic to your audience, call me. I'm here. Here's my email address, hannah@hannahkessler.com. So it's been a lot of fun. Let me see this morning who is on. Good morning, Mr. Dexter. Hey, everyone. Great topic today. Yes, as you can see from the title. Misty, good to see you. Good morning. Lisa, we miss you as well. Good morning to you. All the way out from California. So good morning, you early bird. You too, Mr. Dexter. Y'all are up in early this morning. So I had the pleasure to sit down last night. There was somebody who joined us for this week in our mastermind group, and I'm going to call her Lindsay Lou. And Lindsay Lou was sitting there at dinner, and she was telling the story about how whole life insurance has really helped her through her life when she had a lot of down times, because her grandfather was the one that came to her when she was early on in her 20s and said, Lindsay Lou, you need to have a whole life insurance policy. Fast forward, she's in her 40s now, and this policy has taken her throughout her life. So I have a video that I'm going to play here this morning. Let me get it up here on the screen. And I want you to watch this.
When I was 24 years old, my uncle, who was a financial planner, told me that the best investment I could possibly make is not just to protect my wealth and protect my health, but also to protect my future. And getting a whole life insurance policy when I was 25 years old has paid off dividends my entire life. I've been able to buy a house. When I got divorced, I actually had money that I could borrow from my policy, and I didn't even have to pay it back. So I reduced my death benefit, and then I was able to live off of that money for months during the pandemic when I had no work and I had 3 kids to support, mortgages to pay. This whole life insurance policy that I've had for 20 years now has really completely been the foundation of my financial success.
I turned off my mic there, Mr. Mike. So, hey, hopefully that sound came through okay. We're still learning StreamYard. Okay, give me a little bit of grace. But that was Lindsay, and that's her testimony. No, she doesn't have a policy with me. We literally just met yesterday. But I mean, whole life insurance has been around for a long, 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 long time. Ever since the creation of the Federal Reserve System, it's been around longer than that. So it's just a powerful tool and a powerful asset. And if you understand the cash value and the equity within inside of your policies, I mean, it's just game changer when you can use it. And really, from my standpoint of teaching the infinite banking concept, this allows us to become our own bankers. So that was just a really cool testimonial. I got that video. I'll be posting it on my social media channels a little bit later. So follow me, Hannah Kessler, on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other platforms. But today's topic, I want to get into the big mainstream headliner, that news topics that we've been seeing around there, which is 50-year mortgages. Okay, so Trump's been talking about these 50-year mortgages because, being 26 years old at the beginning cusp of the Gen Z, I call myself a zillennial because, I kind of fall into the in cusp of Gen Z, so I get them. But then also I've had a lot of millennial products and TV shows and just how they think the memes. So I kind of call myself the zillennial, but I am kind of at the end cusp definition wise of Gen Z. And a lot of kids just my age were nervous, I mean, I did that whole episode on do we even have hope? And it's a little scary, right? I mean, with inflation and prices rising. And to be honest with you, we're kind of getting back into the normal way of things where it should be within interest rates. But it's a little nerve wracking, right? I mean, we as Gen Zers, we believe that, hey, I'll never be able to buy a house because I'll just never be able to afford a house. I'll never be able to qualify for this mortgage. So, the big headliner topic again is just those 50-year mortgages versus the 30-year mortgages. And I really want to break down the math on the differences between them, because these 50-year mortgages, I mean, they aren't helping homeowners. They're really helping the banks create lifetime customers. And you'll never beat the bank by paying that extra principal. You beat the bank by becoming the bank. Okay, because liquidity is truly the king. A lot of people like to say cash flow is king. And yes, I do agree with that, but also remaining liquid and not tying up your dollars like in the 30-year, 50-year mortgage or those qualified plans like a 401k, IRA. We can now use our systems, our policies to implement us being our own bankers so that we can use this to buy our houses, put the down payments on them. And now it truly replaces our dependence on the bank. So truly, these banks, I mean, they want 50-year mortgages if you think about it, because they think generationally. And in my opinion, you should too. Don't just have those blinders on and just thinking for the right now, right here. Yes, it's important to live presently, but also you need to think far ahead into the future as well. So I really want to break down the math behind the 30-year, 50-year mortgages, and then also getting into, hey, what if I could use a policy to finance this house as well? So when I was up this morning, I actually beat my alarm clock up this morning. So that was really fun. But I was up this morning, I was playing on my computer, doing some stuff. And I was out there looking around at where is the median house price in America today. And when I was looking around, the median house price is right around 440,000. I got some ranges, like some sites were saying 415,000, some were saying 450,000. So I'm just going to use the example of $440,000. That's going to be that median home price here within America. So when I use that example, I want to compare the differences between the 30-year, the 50-year, and then also using the infinite banking policies. So let me do this real quick. Stop screen there. Let's do another share screen. And And we're going to pull up this screen here, share. All right, what can you guys see? Beautiful, beautiful. There we go. Let's zoom out just a little bit. Okay, because I wanted to put this in like a side-by-side scenario for y'all. So here's the assumption and the example that we're going to use. Our home price being $440,000. Now, I use the down payment of 10%. You know, it could be 10%, it could be 20%. It doesn't matter. I just was going to keep the math easy and just do an even 10%. So with this home price of $440,000 and I put a down payment of 10%, the loan amount that I'm needing is $396,000. And so we're going to use like a median interest rate of 6.5%. Given, you know, your interest rate could be more, your interest rate could be less, but let's just use that median interest rate of 6.5%. Now, in this calculation too, property taxes and homeowners insurance is not included in here. So keep note of that as well, because, you know, as us being, you know, myself as young kids in our generation, you know, sometimes that's not things that we think of when we're walking into this home purchase price. We're just thinking about the price of the house. We don't think about all of the other expenses that it entails to own this house. So when I am comparing the differences, just a 30-year mortgage versus a 50-year mortgage, well, 30 years, that would allow me and my monthly payment to be $2,503 a month. Oh, and let me give you this resource, y'all. I'm going to put this inside of the chat. Here is a mortgage calculator that y'all can use as well. So if you are in that time period where you're going out there and looking at houses, looking to move or purchase one, that's a calculator that you can use to look at, hey, approximately what is this house going to cost me every single month? So just a resource for y'all. But if I go in here and I conventionally finance a 30-year mortgage, the monthly payment is going to be $2,503 a month. And paid over the 30 years, that's $901,000 is what I paid in total for that house. Just in the interest alone, that's $505,000. So literally, you're paying for the house 2 times over the 30 years. And almost all of the first 10 years just goes to your interest alone. Now, I know for my parents and my, you know, baby boomers, Gen Xers and whatnot, you know, y'all can kind of understand that. But, you know, there's a lack of education around money when it comes to schooling and public schooling. I mean, we didn't learn any of this stuff. Myself being a graduate of high school in 2017, I mean, they did not teach us this stuff in school. So you think that, hey, when I'm making my payments, it's going to the principal and the interest, but really when you calculate it all in all together with the amortization schedule, a lot of those payments in the early years just goes to interest alone. And if I remember this thought, okay, ADD brain over here, I'll pull up that mortgage calculator and I'll pull out that amortization schedule and I'll show you literally what I'm talking about. But this is just on the 30-year mortgage. So, okay, the administration came in and said, well, you know, I get it. People are struggling right now. And we will help out the public because we're great people and we're going to help out the public. So we're going to start introducing 50-year mortgages. All right. Well, if I compare it to a 50-year mortgage, well, my monthly payment is $2,243 a month. Okay, I'm saving about 200, let's call it $300 on that payment every single month. So it's cheaper, quote unquote. We might be thinking I'm saving that $300 or $3,600 a month. But when you look at the big elephant and take it out to the full view of everything, you're going to notice that you're actually paying more for it. So over the total of those 50 years, you actually end up paying $1.3 million in total just for that that $440,000 house. So literally the whole interest that you're paying now is $950,000, and that's just going to interest alone on that house that you're buying. So yeah, your payments drop slightly, but you almost pay $1 million just in interest alone. You literally buy 2 additional houses for the bank. So in my opinion, it just keeps us trapped. It keeps us within this rat race. And that's where we as Gen Zers were like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get out of this. I just don't see this hope. How can this actually happen and be possible for me? I mean, literally just talking with my 91-year-old grandfather, he back in the day was able to buy a house for $36,000. Just right now in 2025, home prices are up to $440,000 less than 100 years later. I mean, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. And anyways, just my soft little tangent here. I mean, this is why I feel so passionately about we need to tie the dollar back to gold so that the Federal Reserve is not dictating this inflation and what's happening within our economy. Because it's a little scary if you go out there and research other countries, China and Japan, and these countries, they are just, lack of better words, enslaved to the banks and the government because of this. So real quick, I see some comments coming in. Good morning, Damien. This 50-year mortgage makes sense to me, just like buying a car. At 5 years and pay it off fast in 2, I don't see why it will take 50 years to pay off your loan unless you're getting something outside your means. I mean, hey, that's a good point. I mean, seriously, I don't bash Dave Ramsey. I think he's very, very good at teaching the masses and the American public about how we should be handling our money, live within your means. I was actually just having a dinner conversation not too long ago with somebody about how my generation, maybe you can hear the birds. They're a little chatty today. Sorry about that. But I was having a conversation with somebody about how even them, it's kind of crazy how my generation will spend so much money because we have access to the DoorDash, the Uber, going out there and buying our $5 Starbucks coffee every single day. That's out of the norm of their generation. But for me, that's a norm in my generation. So it is important to live within your means, and it is important to track your expenses and your cash flow and your income every single month too. All right, just looking. Damien's also saying, amazing how it's cheaper to buy land versus a house in 2025. I mean, Damien, it's a good philosophy. I mean, seriously, that's why a lot of us kids are out there, like even buying home on wheels. Y'all know that I love to do my van life, and I do it just because I want to see the country. I like to travel and I like to be in the outdoors. But a lot of kids in my generation, they're buying homes on wheels because they're like, it's so much more affordable to live here on this house on wheels rather than what it is to go and buy myself a house nowadays. Oh, good. Hey, Dave's coming in with a good resource for us. It's a free app on the phone, FN Calculator. So good. All right, so that's our 30-year versus the 50-year mortgage. Now, what about this? What about if I utilize my policy and implement the infinite banking concept to use it in conjunction with my mortgage? I mean, right, in the most perfect world, I'll have enough cash value within my policy that I'm going to go and just buy this house outright. And I'm going to show you that example as well, okay? But what if I don't have enough cash right now? What if I only have enough just for the down payment, and then I need to go outsource that other financing and then open myself up a 30-year mortgage? So you will pay that 30-year mortgage. You're going to lose the liquidity, pay the interest on your money to the bank, and honestly, too, you hope that you don't lose your job or have any financial emergency, because that's how most homeowners operate. You're paying your mortgage payments, and a lot of you, this is an upcoming episode on the Money Multiplier podcast, some of y'all are one disaster away from totally losing everything because you're not planning and thinking ahead past just right now, today, or even this year. So what if I could pay that mortgage normally, but with every extra dollar that would have gone to the extra principal or the savings instead, it goes into my policy instead. So I can build tax-free cash value, earn uninterrupted compounding interest. I can be borrowed against that policy to strengthen my position. And now I'm truly creating a private reserve fund, because, right, we know this, but I'm going to say it again. This is why I love the policy so much as well, because nobody can tell me that I cannot touch the cash value within inside of my policy. That is a policy contract. And written inside of that policy contract, me, the policy owner, I hold first rights to any cash value that's inside of that policy. So that's why, and how you'll notice, y'all, anytime that you call up into the insurance company, because yeah, you can request your loan through the phone, or you'll have your own login portal directly with the insurance company's website. That's what I personally do. I mean, sometimes if I'm on the road, I'll give them a call, but just like your mobile banking app, you'll have your own login to the insurance company site where you can go in there, check the cash values, and request the loans online directly from them. So what I'll do is I'll go online, I'll request the loan, and then what they'll do is directly deposit that money from my policy back into the bank account that I have on file at the insurance company. So that's normally what I like to do, is those direct deposits. But even if I don't do a direct deposit, the insurance company will just send me a paper check in the mail as well. So that's our other option. But you'll notice that they're never going to ask you what you're using the money for, when you're going to be paying that money back, or how you're going to be paying it back. Totally opposite to conventional banks, because again, listed in that policy contract, you being the owner of that contract, you hold first rights to any cash value that's inside of there. So a loan, okay, to bring full circle, a loan on the policy is nothing more than a prepayment of your death benefit. That's all the policy loan is. It's a prepayment of my death benefit. And this is how and why the insurance company thinks this way, is because they're already guaranteeing you that death benefit on your policy, right? I mean, that's the contractual agreement that you're walking in with this insurance company. And again, this is a mutually owned insurance company. That's what we want to use when we're implementing the infinite banking concept. So when we're walking into this insurance contract with them, we are saying, hey, insurance company, I promise to pay you these premiums. And when I'm paying you these premiums, you are promising me and guaranteeing me the death benefit and the guaranteed interest on that policy. The guaranteed interest is contractually guaranteed as well. The only thing that's not guaranteed inside of the whole life contract are the dividends. Okay. Dividends is what I call the extra bonus that we receive at the end of the year. No, I can't sit here and promise y'all dividends inside of your policy, because again, they're not contractually guaranteed. But with these mutually owned insurance companies that have been around since the late 1800s, early 1900s, before the Federal Reserve System was even created, you can those dividends have been paid out consecutively every single year since then. I mean, the lowest dividend history period that I have with the 6 companies that I just personally do business with is 127 consecutive years. That's how the lowest that they've been paying out dividends consecutively. The highest, one of my insurance companies, 149 consecutive years. So yeah, is it a strong chance that they'll keep paying out these dividends? Yes. But can I sit here and promise it to you? No, because it's not contractually guaranteed, right? So I kind of forgot how I got off on that tangent. But so what if I take that example of, instead of me taking out this 50-year mortgage, okay, and the difference, right? And the difference between this 50-year mortgage and this 30-year mortgage, it's about $300, like I said. So instead of paying the extra $300 a month to the bank, like in my 30-year mortgage example, what if I pay that extra $300 a month into my whole life policy and I use it for the infinite banking concept? Because really, on $300 a month, after 7 to 10 years, your policy is going to have anywhere from $30,000 to $55,000 of cash value inside of there. Now, given it's dependent on the design of the policy, how you fund it, am I doing a large dump in the first year, yada, yada, yada. So there's different components of what makes these policies operate differently. But obviously, it's straightforward, just like this. The more that I capitalize this policy and the more premiums that I'm paying out of pocket, the more cash value that I'm just going to have with inside of that policy. So given, there's kind of two rules that we're thinking about when it comes to Nelson Nash's teachings. Number one, it's not the interest rate that's killing us, because, right, the 6.5%, that's a pretty good interest rate. Would you agree with that? It's not the rate that's killing us. It's the volume of the interest that we're sending out the door to other people. That's what's hurting us. So that's one principle. And then the second principle is capitalize, and do not be afraid to capitalize. Because just with the same mindset that you have right now, when y'all go out there and you work and earn for your money, you go place those deposits down at the local bank, and you're essentially making those deposits into somebody else's bank. Okay. And those bankers, they're using your money, and how they're lending out these 30-year, 50-year mortgages is they're using your money to do so. Isn't that kind of funny? So instead of doing that, I'm just going to take that same mindset, and now I'm just going to pivot it. And that's the money that now I'm going to be depositing into my own bank, i.e. my whole life policy. So that's why you'll notice I use the word deposit a lot. And I do agree it's a premium payment, but in my opinion, it's treated more as a deposit. And I like to use the word deposit when I'm teaching you all this stuff, because it gets your minds geared into thinking about this as your own bank. Because when I make that premium deposit inside of my policy, immediately I have cash value. I'm the owner of the contract, and nobody can touch that money besides me, myself, and I, the policy owner of that policy contract. So here's what I'm saying. Instead of paying that extra $300 a month to the bank, what if I start paying that $300 into my whole life policy? And then after the 7 to 10 years, my policy is going to have a cash value of that the 30,000 to 55,000 of cash value. So at 10 years, I can use this money and I can use it as a down payment on this house. And then to go a step deeper, I can then use the policy, just like how we show in the money multiplier map example. Okay, let me put a little banner up here, just so if you don't know what I'm talking about, themoneymultiplier.com/presentation, that's where we get into the map example and mapping out how to use the policy to pay off the debts. So I can use the cash values for the down payment. And then also, as I'm continuing to contribute these $300 a month premiums, that's going to continue to build up my cash value. And I can use that cash value to start chunking down more and more at this mortgage that I just opened for myself. So I'm not bashing banks. There's a time and place where we might need them, and they're there. But however, it's kind of funny, when you absolutely need them, it's like they're nowhere to be found. You lost your job, or COVID time, how you just heard in that one video. I'll play it again because, Mike, thank you for telling me about the audio. I'll play it again before I end this episode. But they're there to be a source of financing if we need them, but obviously we got to qualify for those loans, right? The more riskier of a borrower that you are, the higher interest rate that they're going to charge you, and they may not even allow you to borrow from their own bank. So now I'm going to use this policy to pay the down payment. I can use it to also chunk away at this mortgage that I just opened, but also it's just a place of where I'm keeping and storing my cash. I can start recapturing the interest. I can fund other investments. I mean, hey, I borrow from the family bank, right? I mean, personally, I've just been so blessed, and I understand that I know I'm blessed in this regard where I've never had to go down to the bank to ask to borrow money because I go to the bank of Brent Kessler or the family bank, if you will. And dad's the one who is charging me the interest. And so now we're just keeping that interest within the family. And so I could take the cash values in my policy and just go pay dad and the family bank back directly. But sometimes I don't do that. All right. Here's a little bit of savvy tip for you. I will use my policy and I will go buy some more investments, because if the math makes sense, if I could take my cash value, go give it to a borrower, okay, I'm a private lender, it's just what I like to do. If I can go give that money to a borrower and I'm making more interest and more cash flow that's coming in every month greater than what I have to pay the family bank back, that monthly payment, I'll do it, right? Because it's cash flow for me. Now, given there's risk to this, okay, there's risk to investments. That's why the whole life policy, this is not an investment. It has no risk besides you and how you use the policy. But I will sometimes go and do that, use the policy to go fund the investment, and then that investment will pay my monthly mortgage payment. So that's another idea of how you can leverage and use the cash flow to pay for those monthly bills. So eventually it's going to accelerate my mortgage on my terms. And more importantly, my money's going to continue to grow. Okay. This is my favorite thing. I mean, this is why I personally do this stuff. And especially if I just have my investor glasses on. Okay, wait, hold on. We have Smokey here. Smokey is the house cat. Yeah, let me take this off the screen. Hi, Smokey. Are you going to get my lap? Hi, Smokey. Oh, it's good to have Smokey here while my kitty cats are back at home. I miss my little kitty cats. Okay, so this is why I personally do this, is because when I take those cash value loans out of my policy, I'm not interrupting the compounding that's happening on that money. Okay, we covered this last episode, but right, this is why I'm taking out my policy loans and not just withdrawing the money out. Because even if I go in there and I need to take out as my down payment $44,000, if I go inside of my policy and take out a policy loan of 44,000, my 44 still remains in the policy to grow and compound as if it wasn't touched. Okay. So that's why I think this stuff is so powerful, because I'm never losing out on the interest that's earned on my money, aka the opportunity cost of my money, but also the other benefits of protection, liens, judgments, lawsuits, tax-free growth. So the government's out of my hair. And then also the death benefit. Okay. Death benefit is important, y'all. It's kind of mind boggles me that y'all will go out there and spend all this money and all this if insurance, but you literally neglect the insurance that's actually guaranteed to happen, which is you and your expiration date on your life when Jesus calls you home. Anyways, so there's a few little bullet points. So we could do this, right? And here's actually a little screenshot as well, just to compare it side by side of the 30-year, 50-year, and then the infinite banking with the mortgage. All right, so you can take a quick little screenshot of that. Let me take this banner off. But you can really see side by side what's happening, the differences between each of them. Now, let me pause here. Let me just kind of go in here to see what the comments are saying. Good morning, Miss Tess. Thursday already. Woo woo. Good, Mike. Says he's going to be using his cash value to fund his startup. I like the sound of deposits as well. All right, good, y'all. All right, let me look over here. Let me look at my notes, see if I miss anything that I wanted to share with y'all. Yeah, good. Okay, now I want to get into policies. Okay, I want to show you a real life policy illustration. And now my example. Okay, so we just talked about, okay, instead of me taking out the 30-year mortgage, I take out the 50-year mortgage, and I'm saving that $300 a month, and I just take that $300 a month and put it into the policy every single month. Because remember, you get to decide how much premium that you want to deposit into your policy. Instead of doing that, what if I do have a policy that I can fund for the entire purchase price of the house? I'm going to show you this one. Share screen, window. Here we go. Let me add it to stage. Beautiful. And hopefully this is coming through clearly. So this right here is a policy illustration, and it is built from a company called Lafayette Life. Lafayette Life is a great company to practice this concept with. And there's a few great companies. I'll just give you the names of some, the ones that I personally recommend. One America, O&E America, based out of Indianapolis. Lafayette Life, based out of Cincinnati. And Security Mutual Life, great company. Security Mutual Life, based out of New York. And then, there's other companies, Foresters, Ameritas, Guardian, Penn Mutual, Mass Mutual, right? Those are kind of some of the bigger names out there. Personally, why I really like the top three, me personally, One America, Lafayette, and Security Mutual, is just because they have that Southern feel. I feel more like a client with them rather than just a number. You guys have kind of felt like that sometimes when you're working with big companies. You're like, these guys don't care about me. I'm just a customer to them rather than like a client. So that's why I personally like these companies a lot. And hey, if this is your first time here, yeah, you can go directly to the insurance companies and ask them for a policy like this. But hey, they're going to assign you a life insurance agent. I mean, somebody's going to make a commission check on your policy, whether you like it or not. You got to go through some life insurance agent to obtain a policy. So hopefully y'all like me enough that you're coming to me and asking me to help you design these policies, because this is all that I do day in and day out. But given you guys don't have to do this with me, I just want to share this information. But just to give you more context, because I was on a webinar actually yesterday, and that's something I need to do a better job at. Of, Hannah, what does your company do? Oh, yeah. My apologies. I'm leading a lot with the education that you guys leave this meeting and then you go and talk to your traditional life insurance agent. They get you a policy where it's 100% base premium. You're like, this shit sucks. Anywho's. So back to my illustration. Here, this is a policy design where we are putting in $500,000 year one dump in. Okay. Because yes, you can design a policy where you have a dump in going in that first year. So shout out to a lot of my real estate investors. Y'all will call me up and ask me this, that if I have this lump sum of money, can I get this lump sum into my policy? And yeah, you can. So you can do a year one dump in. And all that means, y'all, all that dump in terminology of what I'm saying, it's just extra paid up addition premium. That's all this dump in is. It's just a one-time lump sum extra paid up addition premium. And how this policy is designed is that it has $500,000 going in year one. And then you'll notice that it drops to $50,000 a year two, and so on until it drops again. And then it even drops again. I'll get into it. But how this policy is designed for my nerdy folks, of this $50,000 premium, it's split up half and half. $25,000 to the base, $25,000 to the paid up additions. And then the remaining $450,000, that's all going in to the paid up addition premium. So if you kind of really think about it, I like dump in policies if it makes sense and if you're not spending a boatload of money on term insurance and that term rider, because you're really getting the best of the both worlds. You're not neglecting the long-term growth of the policy, that base premium, and you're still getting that high immediate cash value year one. So for all my people who are 1090, 1090, 1090, and I'm not going to put them on blast. I was going to be a little petty for a second, but 1090, 1090, 1090, and you think that's all you should be having. Look a little bit deeper, think for yourself and question. I can do an episode getting into pros and cons of different policy designs, but I like these large dump-ins year one and then reducing it down because, again, I'm getting the best of the both worlds where I'm having that 90% access that first year, but then also I'm having that strong foundation of the base premium as well. So, last thing I'm going to say here too. Here's my recommendation. On a dump-in to ongoing premium, I personally wouldn't go any higher than a 10-to-1 ratio. So if I'm dumping in $500,000 this first year, I wouldn't go any less than $50,000 a year for the ongoing premiums. Okay, so that's how I'm getting my 10-to-1. If I'm going to do $1 million dump in, $100,000 would be that minimum that I would personally do as those ongoings. And then remember, if you ever have a downtime and you can't pay your policy premium, just note that you can always go in there and reduce down the premiums too. Okay, so that's where me personally and our team at the Money Multiplier, your implementation agent, that's where they get involved. Just yesterday, somebody sent me a text because her investment went sour because, like I said from a little bit earlier, yes, investments are risky. You need to make sure that you're protecting yourself. And she didn't have collateral. Why would you ever loan money to somebody if you don't hold collateral? That's just crazy in my opinion. I don't know if you guys are even listening to me, but seriously, don't lend money to somebody unless you have collateral that's equal to or greater than the value of what you're lending the money on. Anyways, she didn't have collateral. So now she don't got the money. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see is it worth it? Is it worth paying the attorney fees, going to court and doing all that stuff? I don't know. But she didn't have her premium and her premiums coming due. So she reached out and said, hey, what are my options? Right. And so you can always go in there and reduce the premiums. Okay, back to my example. If I put in my $500,000 this first year, just on the guaranteed side alone, cash value $441,000 and some change. So I have enough to go and purchase this house outright if I wanted to. And I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to purchase this house outright. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be an honest banker and I'm going to pay myself back and I'm going to charge myself the interest. I'm going to show you another loan calculator that I use. But before I get off of this page, what I want to show you and why I like these large dump-ins is because of this right here. Obviously, the difference between the guaranteed and non-guaranteed is just the dividend. Okay, so that's the only difference. Guaranteed is our contractual guaranteed interest. Dividends are not guaranteed, but it's a pretty strong chance that they'll be paying them. But look right here. Year two, I put in $50,000. My increase in net cash value is $53,000. So literally year two, I deposited in 50 grand and my cash just grew by 53,000 and some change. Literally second year, I'm breaking even cash on cash in that year. Hey, I kind of like that. I made a little bit of money by flowing my money through this policy. I made about $3,000. Now let's look at this, because something else I was just thinking about as I was looking over this illustration too. Look right here where premiums stop. Do you notice how it goes from 25 down to 0? Which, speaking of 30 years into the policy, 30-year mortgage, anyways, 30 years into the policy, look at this. I want you to look at this increase in net cash value, okay? Follow my mouse, follow my mouse. I know it's a lot of numbers, y'all, but right here, year 30, I deposited in $25,000 and my cash just grew by $159,000. So for all of my naysayers on this whole concept, what's that rate of return? Seriously, and do you think that 159,000, do you think that's taxable or tax-free growth? It's tax-free growth. So this is where, like, you'll hear me sometimes say, hey, if I'm a good coach, you'll understand why you never want to stop paying those premiums, because the longer that you pay them, more capitalization, more compounding, the stronger these values are going to be. But even after premiums stop in this specific policy, year 31, no more premiums are going in. $0 goes in. But look how much my cash value just grew by, $142,000. I can tell you right now, just talking with my papa, who's 91, and actually just this past week, mom and dad went and looked at some assisted living apartments for papa in Florida. So I'm very excited. Papa's going to be moving to Florida. I'm excited. He's going to be in our neck of the woods and we can hang out more and more. But papa, even just right now, at his house in Texas, it's costing him $12,000 a month to pay the two people and the caregivers that come in and help him and nanny. He could literally just year after year, just alone on the cash value growth from a policy like this, he could use this policy to pay for those caregivers to come in and help him and nanny. Not to mention, my total cash value bucket is 3.6 million. So this is the total that I have in here, but just alone on the growth, I could be paying this stuff outright simply using the policy. And again, never interrupting the compounding on that money. And when papa and nanny do graduate and pass away, there's a death benefit that's on that policy. So even if, like, let's say papa, now he's past this point, but the hypothetical scenario, let's say that papa were to pass away at the age of 88. And he has all of this money outstanding. He sucked every penny in cash value dry from this policy. What the insurance company would do when papa passes, they'll take this 4.1 million, let's just round it up, make it easy. They'll take this 4.1 million of death benefit, subtract the 3.7, and the remaining 400,000 will get paid out to his beneficiaries, lump sum tax free. So now what papa's leaving is his assets, his investments, plus this lump sum tax free of $400,000. Instead, I'm going to put papa on blast just for a second, but instead having to go in there and do reverse mortgages or liquidating his assets, he doesn't have to do that anymore. And now he's really building the family empire. Because that's one thing about papa and nanny. You know, they're very, very family oriented. I mean, same thing with grandma and grandpa too. You know, they have a lot of love. They love their family. And I bet this is something that's important to them. But for all those people who are like, hey, self-insure, you don't need the insurance. I mean, literally, I'm not even going to go there. Okay, sorry. Just go off on another little tangent. So let me remove this one now from the screen, okay? Oh, last thing I want to say. Do you think I could use this to supplement my income, tax-free income during retirement too? Absolutely, you can. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to be covering at Money Game Live. Okay, so come and hang out, moneygamelive.com. Let me put it up here on the screen. Tax-free income during retirement. I mean, seriously, it's powerful, powerful, powerful. This is my retirement strategy. Right now, where I'm going to is that if I continue on the path just with my 8 policies alone that I personally have, I'm going to have well over $250,000 growth, just the growth alone, every single year from a few of my policies. I haven't even looked at all 8 of them, but from just 4 specifically, $250,000 growth year after year that I could use just in the growth of the policy, tax-free income. And that's where we kind of get into the differences between taking out policy loans versus the withdrawals. And we can do a whole segment on that, but anywho's this is my retirement strategy. So some of the stuff that we're going to be covering at Money Game Live, I locked in more speakers. Courtney's coming out, going to be talking about oil and gas investment. So hey, if you need some tax deductions, tax incentives, you want to be in Courtney's session. Mr. Don coming out talking about tax strategies. Gwalter coming out talking about multifamily, so how to have multiple doors, because just like as Grant Cardone says, 10x is easier than 2x. There's a reason why they own a whole bunch of apartment complexes and not just single family homes. And then obviously we got Mr. Larry. He's going to be talking about stock options trading, which he is very successful on. I mean, that's a world that I just haven't explored, done anything with. But if that is up your alley and you like the market, you like the stock options trading, that's going to be a good one for you too. And then even getting into creative financing, right? I mean, is it possible to get into investing in real estate without having any of my own money? Absolutely, it is. Seller financing, subject to. I mean, there's so many other creative financing tools that you can use where you don't have to use any of your money. How do I raise capital? I mean, seriously, a lot of these people are out there raising capital for their own specific funds and syndications that you can raise capital with people within your family. You probably have some aunts, uncles, mom, dads, siblings that have money that's just sitting in stagnant in an IRA, 401k. Hey, instead of playing this market game with the volatility, how about you give your money to me? I'll give you this interest, and I'm going to give you some collateral for doing it. So there's just so many different strategies that we can get into. I mean, I'm kind of to the point where I had to stop myself. I'm like, okay, Hannah, there's too many speakers, too many. But we'll do this segment. Then maybe later on this year, we'll do another segment. Maybe it'll be a virtual event where I'll bring back out the people who didn't make it to the live event. So come and hang out, moneygamelive.com. That's at the end of February, February 27, 28, and March 1st there. Okay. Dexter says, you won't retire. You'll be a guest appearance for live. Yes, Dave. So Dave says, thank you for chiming in. He says, I have my ticket for Money Game Live, but I have a question. I'll text or email you. Totally fine. Money Game Live last year was awesome. Thanks, my man. Thanks for that testimonial. So, hey, and then you got my email right there, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. Let me bring up the last thing I want to share. Oh my goodness, and I've been chatting for 53 minutes. I got 7 minutes left for y'all. Let me share my screen. Loan calculator. Okay, here's the loan calculator I like to use. I'm going to also put it in the chat box so that you guys have the direct link. Okay, so I gave you two resources, the mortgage calculator and then this loan calculator. Assuming in this policy design, year one, I take out the $440,000 and I buy myself the house. I want to be an honest banker. I want to pay myself back, and I'm going to be charging myself the interest, just as if I were to take a loan from any other conventional bank. Do I have to pay it back? Do I even have to charge myself interest? No. But do you think it's a good idea that you should? Yes. Because a quote that I love to say is money is going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. So respect your capital. In this loan calculator, I put in here already the $440,000 loan term, 30-year mortgage. Hey, and at that 6.5% interest rate, when I hit that calculate button, this is what it came out to be for that monthly payment. So this $2,781, that's what I'm going to use to start paying myself back inside of my policy with now. That $2,781 is what I'm going to start paying myself back into the policy. That includes the principal of the amount plus the interest that I paid. But let me get more specific for my veterans of this concept. The total loan amount is $440,000. The total interest that I paid is $561,000. So all in all, I paid a little over $1 million for this house with the principal and interest. But given, remember, this $561,000, this is all coming back to me. It's not going to the banker any longer. It's all coming back to me over those 30 years. In a policy illustration, if you go and just pay back the principal, that $440,000, the policy is going to operate exactly like that policy illustration. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, I take that back. It could be more with the dividends, but again, just simplistic terms, excluding the dividends, nothing more, nothing less. It's going to be the same exact policy design in that illustration if I pay back that principal of the amount that I've taken out. This $561,000, that is extra paid up additions. The extra interest that I'm paying back to my policy, that is extra paid up addition premium. And the more paid up addition premium or interest that I pay inside of my policy, the greater these values are going to grow. Ooh, I'm just thinking about it. I told y'all that we need to cover the equipment financing chapter in Nelson Nash's book, because that's where Nelson proves it to us. The more that you use the policy to buy and finance the things that you're already buying in life, the larger these numbers are going to be. And essentially all that means is the more paid up addition premium that you pay into your policy, the greater these values are going to be, right? So you may be thinking to yourself, well, Hannah, if I pay this $561,000 into the policy as extra paid up addition premium, am I going to be in jeopardy of mecking my policy, turning that policy into a modified endowment contract? The answer is yes, because any extra paid up additions, that's going to move you closer to your MEC limits. But MEC is a moving target. Every time that you pay premium, that MEC limit is going to move higher and higher for us. So what I do is at the start of my policy year, like I have one policy premium coming up on the 2nd of January, I'm going to pay that premium. And then what I do is write into the insurance company saying, hey, I just paid my premium. Where are my MEC limits at this point? And so they'll go run the calculation. They'll talk to the actuary department where they're way smarter than I am. And they will run the calculation and then get it back to me. Then I know how much extra I can put inside this policy and not hit that MEC limit. So with this MEC limit, this is when and why you would start an additional policy. This is all that it means. You would just start that additional policy, take that interest that you're paying into policy number 1 and just start allocating those dollars back into policy number 2. So then you can continue to enjoy those tax-free benefits of the policy. So I know I covered a lot here, but I think last thing I want to show y'all, because I did remember it, I want to show you the amortization schedule. I thought this was kind of interesting when I was going in and doing some stuff today. Let me remove stop screen there, share screen, mortgage calculator. Mr. Mike is saying he's got to run. Talk to you soon, Mr. Mike. I know I'm going a little long today. Look at this mortgage calculator. And really what I wanted to show y'all, let me make a big screen just on my side. What I wanted to show you, if I take out this 30-year mortgage, here's my amortization breakdown schedule. What I really want to show you is the remaining balance section. Look and see the differences between 2026 to 2027 to 2028 to 2029. I mean, seriously, y'all, you are not paying off anything towards this. I mean, seriously, with the amount of the volume of interest that you're paying pennies towards the actual principal of that policy loan. Go and research this stuff, okay? I just want to enlighten y'all. I want y'all to see what's actually going on out there and how you can start taking back the banking function of your life, how you don't have to be in the shackles of these conventional bankers and your financial advisors who are telling you to do stuff like that. No, financial advisors are not bad. I just wish they understood the infinite banking concept more and more and how they work in conjunction with one another. Go back to that other podcast episode on the Money Multiplier podcast, why your financial advisor might hate the infinite banking concept. But that's all I got for y'all today, folks. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it was enlightening. I love talking about this stuff. Okay, so I'm here. If you need me, you guys have my email address right here. I don't post out my cell phone number on the live streams, but a lot of y'all know me. You guys got my cell phone number because I only have one cell phone. It's my only office line. So I'm a big texter. You can always text me there, call me there. Send me an email as well, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. But like I said, come and join us, okay? Money Game Live, moneygamelive.com. And I don't know, maybe I want to share this with y'all. So I'm over here too. So yes, in alignment with doing a lot of the TV interviews, I'm also doing and writing a new book. This is going to be my third book. I have The Single Millionaire Chick, which send me an email. I'll send you the ebook version of it, or you can go to Amazon and get the Kindle version. And then also companion book. Okay, so that's our children's book, Chris Noggle and I. And so this will be my third book. And I have a working title, but I don't want to say it online in case somebody tries to steal it. But I'm excited. That should be sometime at the year of 2026. But it's literally a whole guide, a whole financial freedom guide. Taxes, creative financing, wealth building, money mindset. That's something that, a lot of financial coaches sometimes don't hit on. It's just even the mindset that we have to do all of this too. So I always say, the hardest part about what I teach, it's not so much the concept and the policies themselves. And if you really think about it, it's the ultimate in simplicity, quoted by Nelson Nash. It's the ultimate in simplicity, but it's just the paradigm shift that we have to go through from that conventional teaching, conventional wisdom. So also, I broke a nail this week. Meh. So I'll be back home on Wednesday next week. But get your Christmas shopping done, okay? I had a big scare moment last night when I needed to keep ordering some stuff. I looked at the calendar and I was like, holy crap, it is 12:10. I need to start getting my butt in gear on some stuff. So I will be back next Thursday. What is next Thursday? What is that date? Let's look it up. Next Thursday is the 18th, and then the following Thursday is the 25th. I'll give it some thought. I got to talk with Mama, see what's happening for Christmas Day. But just like Thanksgiving, I might be on Christmas Day. Sorry, my do not disturb. We're past the hour. There we go. I might be on Christmas Day. I'll give it some thought. We'll kind of see what the plan and the agenda are. I don't know if y'all will even be on Christmas Day, so we'll see. But I will be back next Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Catch us on the live stream. Let's see a few comments coming in. Appreciate you. Have fun. Lots of love. Woohoo, a new book. Yes, Tess, yes. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate you, okay? Do well. Be good. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, okay? So until next week, I'll see y'all then. Bye, everybody. Mwah.